the Essentials workspace. I have the file opened, and I'm going to be changing my tool panel so that it is in 2 columns. Using my zoom tool to select an area, and I'm going to be using this blue Lego over here for our demonstrations. So our 4 types of selections are geometric, freehand, edge-based, and color-based. Let's find them. In the tool panel on the very top, the icon to the right-hand side, the one that looks like a rectangle, these are your geometric selections. There's a rectangular, elliptical, single row, and single column. I'm going to use the rectangular one for this example. Your cursor, instead of it change to crosshairs, simply click, hold your mouse down, and drag over the area that you want selected and let go. The selection is indicated by these dancing dotted lines. They're called marching ants. And you have a selection. I can use my move tool and take this section out. Command Z, I'm going to go back a space, or make any other type of color to this piece. I'm going to show you some of the other selection tools, and in a later video show you how to edit those selections. To deselect, select and deselect, you can find this option in the very top menu bar where it says select and deselect. For those of you that are using Macs, it's Command D. Next on the list is our elliptical. Similar to the rectangle, if I click and drag, I can create a free-formed shape. If I hold down my Shift key, instead of an oval, I will have a perfect circle. So if I just want to make a circle in the top section, just click and let go at the same time. Now I know that's not a perfect selection, but it's very easily editable. You can do so by moving your selection. Hover over the edge of the selection and wait till you see a white arrow. Click, and then you can move your selection. Wait till you see the arrow, and then move. Command D, deselect. Next are our freehand selections. Our lasso tool, our polygonal, and magnetic. The lasso tool by far is the easiest to use. Simply click, draw a circle over, or draw a shape over the area that you want selected, and let go. Select. Moving on to the polygonal lasso tool. This creates anchors, and it will allow you to connect anchor to anchor in a straight line. Don't get the anchors confused to anchor points in Illustrator. The anchors here will only help you make the selection. I created the first one in the top left corner, top right, bottom left. Now I'm closing the loop, so to speak, by clicking on my first anchor. You see the indicator where there's a tiny little circle next to the tool. Click, and there's my selection. Deselect. Magnetic lasso tool. This is a combination of both the lasso and the polygonal tool, where it allows you to click and set up these anchors, but it will also allow you to draw. Not necessarily draw, but draw over your selection. There we go. Next is our edge base, which is our object selection tool and quick selection tool. Our object selection tool is a new tool for 2020, Photoshop, excuse me. And what it does, it allows you to not select an entire shape, but Photoshop will almost do the work for you by finishing the rest. For example, if I wanted to, once again, select this top portion here, but I didn't start at the top, I'll start a little bit lower. Click, create that marquee, drag, and let go. And what Photoshop does, it's trying to include the areas that you would think wants to be part of the selection. It included the side and it also included the top. But if you remember, when I started this selection, I started way down here. Deselect. Next is the quick selection tool. This is by far one of my favorites. I can click, hold my mouse down, go over the area that I want selected and let go, and it will make that selection for me. It will show up as a circle. You can control that by brush. Use your bracket keys to make the circle larger or smaller, or go at the very top control panel and change the size up here. You can subtract parts of your selection by holding down your Alt Option key. Where there is a plus sign, wait till you see the negative sign, and then simply go over the areas that you do not want or subtract. This technique will work both with the other selections as well. For example, here is my rectangle marquee selection, and then I will use my lasso tool. Holding down my shift key will allow those areas to connect. By holding down my Alt Option, I subtract the selection areas. Okay, so Object, Deselect. Okay, so in this video, once again to review, there are 4 types of selections: geometric, freehand, edge base, and there's color. Oh, I almost forgot about color. This is the magic wand tool, which is the color base selection. It will allow you to select a particular color, click on it once, and it will select all parts of that color. This can be a little tricky at times because when we look at the pixels, even though this here is blue, these areas of shadow are dark blue, and then the areas above that have highlights are light blue. You can adjust the sensitivity of how the color base magic wand tool is used by adjusting the tolerance and point sample up here. We're going to introduce layers. Here is our layer panel. Make sure that you have that available, as well as your adjustment panel. I closed out of some of the panels over to the right because we no longer needed them. But if you don't or cannot find your layers or adjustment panel, go to your Windows, Layers, Windows, and Adjustments. So for this demonstration, I will be selecting some of these toys, making them smaller, rotating them, and changing the color. I'm going to first start on the wooden blocks on the top. I'm going to look at this L, find my polygon lasso tool, and make a selection. Using the anchors, helping me to select this wooden L, closing the loop, and here is my selection. I can take my move tool with that selection and move it out from where it was originally photographed, originally taken. Can move it to anywhere else on my document, on my canvas. I'm just going to move it down using the space bar so we can see what we can do with it. While it is still selected, I'm going to make some transformations. To apply transformations to a selection or to any part of a layer, go to Edit, Transform, and here are the list of transformations: scale, rotate, skew, distort, and perspective, as well as counterclockwise, horizontal, vertical, and so on. I'm going to use scale, and I'm going to take the selection of the wooden toy and make it larger. It's important to note that the width and the height here are at 100%. So look up top of the control panel and make sure that you see this here and that it is locked. You want to make sure that it is in proportion. So as you're changing, you don't have something that looks like that. This little chain, make sure that you do click it so that the numbers for both the width and the height are the same. It's a little too big. I'm just going to make that smaller. Changed again. Make sure that's the same. Perfect. Okay. Now, if I would like to rotate this, same thing. Edit, transform, and rotate. Whatever type of transformation that I would like to do to this. I make it. It still has these little bounding box that's telling me that there is a transformation going on. But say I like it, I want to keep it the way it is, press return on your keyboard or this check mark up here, and that will commit to the transformation. Command D will deselect, and now it is, now this wooden toy from up here is now at the bottom section of your document. So let's try this again. This time I'm going to do it with this Lego piece, this orange Lego piece. I'm going to be using the quick selection tool. There we go, quick selection tool, selecting my shape, selecting the edges. Trying to be careful not to grab the shadows. Maybe making that a little bit smaller will help. There we go. Okay. Now, once I have my selection, I can use my move tool and move it anywhere else on my canvas. I'm just going to move it down here and apply some of the same or similar transformations that we did to the wooden block. Make sure that it's still selected. Go under Edit, Transform. This time I'm going to distort, commit to that by checking the mark up here or your Enter key. For some reason, if I don't like what I've done, I can cancel the transformation by using the little circle with the X going through it. So let's try this again. Edit, Transform, let's do Distort. And then Enter and deselect. Once I've deselected an item that I moved and made transformation to, it is kind of stuck on the bottom here. So if I try to move it again, it doesn't move the individual piece, it moves the whole layer. You may not want to do that. So what can you do? What other options do you have? So if you want to take your pieces and have them move on their own layer, for example, this red block, make sure that you have it selected, edit, copy, edit, paste. Okay, so other than the copy and paste, what is happening here, that we're taking the pixels from the background layer and we're making it into its own by copying it. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to use the move tool, make sure that I'm on my layer 1, click and move. So I essentially made a duplicate block, but now it is at its own layer. When it is its own layer, I can change it, I can edit, I can move it, and if I change my mind, I can move it again. Where these two pieces of toys that I selected and made transformation to, I'm unable to, I would have to reselect them if I wanted to edit them again. Whereas I copied and paste, I made it into its own layer. With layers, there are different options that you can change. For example, the name. I can double click where it says layer 1 and call this my red block. I can add effects. FX is the icon towards the bottom portion. I'll move that over. Bottom portion of your layer panel. If I click on this, I can add a drop shadow. There's all these different additional ones I can do. But for right now, I'm going to go to drop shadow. A layer style will appear. Let's do a preview. Select my drop shadow. Let's really exaggerate that. There we go. Okay, and now I have drop shadow. This is what it looked like before. This is what it looks like now. I can even change the color. So instead of a red block, I go to color overlay, and let's change the blending mode. Instead of normal, we'll do color. And instead of a red block, now I have a gray block. To the right of the color mode, if I double click that gray square, change it to any other color I want. Now it was red, so we don't want to go back to red, but let's say red, we want to change it to blue. Or maybe pink, or maybe yellow, or green, whichever you choose. I'm going to say okay, and okay. Now let's take a look what's happening here. So with that copy and paste from the pixels from the background, I pasted into layer 1, which I renamed to red block. I added FX effects. The effects also have these little eyes that will toggle back and forth between the visibility of the effects. So for example, if I really don't like that color, where it says color overlay, I simply just hide the eye. And now it's a red block again. If I don't like the drop shadow, I can also hide that as well. So those are some great tips in selecting pixels, creating your own layer from those pixels, and adding different effects. Let's go to this area over here. I'm going to teach you another way of changing color. I am going to hide my red block layer and go back to my background. Make sure that the background layer is selected. In this cube game, we have one orange square. Using my rectangle geometric selection tool, I'm going to select this orange square and I'm going to change it into a different color. I'm going to be using what are called adjustments. There are multiple ways of doing this, but I'm going to do it a similar way as I did with the effects. I'm going to go down, or sorry, go up to where it says solid color, pick a color. Let's sample this green. Say okay. And here it is. Now I have a green that closely matches this green here. The edges are really sharp and I want to soften that up so it looks a little more realistic. What I can do is I can change the filter and the opacity. The filters are right up here where it says normal. So find the area that says normal, click on the drop down, and since it is color, I'll just keep it consistent. We're working with color. And change that to color and change the opacity down. So that matches the other. There we go. That's kind of close. What is happening? When I selected adjustment, an adjustment layer appears over my background. Closing the eye, you see the background original orange. This is a layer that I can edit and change, and it will apply directly over the layer underneath of it, which in this case is the background. One of the pros of using adjustment layers is that you can edit and change them. For example, if I don't like green anymore, I can double click the green in the adjustment layer, select, let's pick another color. All right, let's do that. Let's do blue. Let's do this blue. Say okay. Just the opacity. And change my filter if I wanted to. Let's do this over here. Let's go darken. And here you can see what all the different filters are doing to that individual adjustment layer. Take a step back, and there it is. A completely different color. In this video, we reviewed how to make selections. We used the quick selection tool, the polygonal tool, and the rectangular marquee tool. We made selections, we moved selections within one layer. We copied and pasted one selection into its own layer that we can then edit and move. We created an adjustment layer to change a portion of the color. That is the end of this video.